So we all got an email from Jan asking who would like to speak at graduation, and I very comically said, oh, there's all kinds of funny people and great people to speak, and I'll just be the stand-up, right? And I didn't know we had a comedian in the class at the time, right? So I said, I'll just be the comedy act. Didn't hear anything from her for a week or so, and then I get an email back from her that says, you are speaking at graduation. That's all she said. And I said, wait a second, that wasn't what, didn't you see the winky face, the little crying emoji laughing? And that wasn't how it was supposed to go, right? So it immediately took me back to 8th grade when I was captain of the basketball team and I got asked to speak at the end of year banquet. The last year I'm in this school, last time I'll ever see my basketball coach ever again. And I'm like in front of my peers and in front of all the parents and everything, and I wrote this beautiful speech, and I rewrote it, and I fixed it, and I refixed it, said it beautifully in the shower before I got to the banquet. Get to the banquet, and I am in front of all my peers, just like I am right now, and I say, thank you for your time, and I run. I'm seriously run, right? I'm serious, this really happened. And so Julie, Jan, thank you for your time. I'll see you later. Totally out of here. No. But that is a true story. So as an adult, I've regretted that moment for a really long time. And I seriously have carried that regret with me for a long time. And I looked up or stalked my coach, right, on Facebook and apologized to him. And he said, what are you talking about? I don't even remember that. But I am so serious when I tell you that I had so much regret over that it had fueled me in a lot of things that I did going forward. So I lived in a really small neighborhood in Maine, grew up in Maine, went to school in Maine, lived in a little community where there were a lot of kids and we all had a dirt bike, right? So I could ride dirt bikes with the best of the boys in my neighborhood. So they all, when we graduated from high school, loaded up the sin bin, which was the van that we had, and took off to California to drive the dirt bike circuit. And girls weren't allowed to drive the dirt bike circuit, and I didn't think that was fair. And they had left. They were in Corona, California. And mind you, I'm from a small town, Woolwich, Maine, and my parents had never been further south than Freeport, right? I had a backpack, $40, and snacks in this backpack. And I walked out to Route 1 in Woolwich and I stuck out my thumb. And I was going to California. And I was going to drive on the dirt bike circuit, whether they liked it or not. Hence the 2 knee replacements. But anyway, I could honestly write a book on the journey out there, the hitchhike on the way out, and the snacks, which didn't last very long. And so I finally get there, practice, stick my hair up in the helmet and tuck a few other things in, and I race, right? I race, this really big race, and I get on the podium. I get 3rd place. I'm on the podium. Now they're asking people to take their helmet off and say something. I'm like, shit. Right? Here we go. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for your time. I'm out of here. No, so I take off my helmet. Of course, my hair falls down and other things start popping out. And I got disqualified immediately. And that's okay, because I don't regret not doing it, right? Doing it meant so much to me that I didn't live with regret that I didn't do it, right? I did it, and the winning really wasn't part of it for me, although it was nice to beat most of the boys. But it really wasn't what I was looking for. I just didn't want to have regret in that moment or in that time frame. More of a present day that has to relate to us was WAVIS. You know, the rope course was the big one. Most of you don't know, but I was scheduled for a knee replacement like the next week or whatever. And so I go to myself, I'm going to regret if I don't try the tallest one there, because I know my knee's not going to last for me to do all of them, so I'm going to go right to the biggest one, right? So I'm trucking over there. I look behind me, and here comes Bill. Now, for those of you that don't know Bill runs like 10 miles for fun. And nobody's chasing him with a stick, right? He just runs, and he does headstands on paddle boards in the lake. And this guy's coming with me, right? And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. So we get there, and Bill, a couple of us, and Bill looks at me, and they're all like, who's gonna go first? All of them point at me to go first. So I'm like, no regrets, right? I'm going for it. Get up there. Climax isn't as great as the workup for Bill, but I didn't actually make it all the way, but I had no regrets that I didn't try the hardest one there first. The hardest for me anyway. So there was no regrets, and I felt really good about it. So bringing me back to my horrible public speaking ability and my horrible poor coach that I traumatized. So college, I took public speaking first. I'm like, I'm going to get this out of the way, and I'm going to make up for it, right? I'm going to not have any regrets. I'm going to make up for this. So I get to public speaking, and the professor says to us, this is the last hoorah, the last day of the class, and you have to make it a very interactive sort of speech. And I'm thinking, all right, well, I can go back to basketball, I guess, because this is what traumatized me in the first place. So they called me Larry Bird when I was in school because I was tall and I had a really bad perm. It was not because of my basketball ability. And that's a true story too. And so I thought, well, I'll just go back to basketball. Hit a basketball in the podium, and I had a Larry Bird jersey on underneath my shirt. And so I'm talking about basketball. Well, all of a sudden I rip my shirt off, and my professor is like having a heart attack over there, and I'm passing the ball around, and I'm, doing this, and I got an A in the class. And the professor has had to have a heart transplant since then. But what I'm getting to is, enough about me, but, and I just want to read this part because this is what I wrote, and I just really feel like this is super important. You can't lead effectively unless you take the risks, right? And that's kind of what I'm getting at. You've got to take the risks. And when you take the risk, there's always the possibility, or even the probability in my case, for mistakes or failure. And I feel like we've experienced that together as a team on some level at some point during this journey with us together. But if you allow it, the pain and the regret from these mistakes will paralyze you and stop you from taking risks. And that's what it started to do for me. So once you stop taking risks, you stop innovating, and then you stop leading. There are so many amazing people in this room, and I've said this a million times. I'm not even sure why I'm here because you're all so absolutely amazing. But I've witnessed it over the past few months, and we took a lot of journeys together, and I've noticed that amazing innovation and relationships that have formed, and you're unstoppable if you live and you lead without regrets. Ready?